Welcome to the Terabyte operating system. Installing new color palette. Installation complete. Apply bubblegum blue. Awesome! Okay, so as you can tell, I dyed my hair again, so I decided to do a little post-dye review for you guys, because you seem to quite like the first video I did on hair dyeing. I originally dyed it 2 weeks ago. I've been really busy this last couple of weeks, so that's why I didn't immediately do a video about it. So unlike the lime twist, this is a couple of weeks down the line. However, I am actually glad that I waited a few weeks before filming this video, because I've noticed some really important differences between the dyes that I wouldn't have noticed if I'd have shot it the day I dyed it. So, first off, when I did the lime twist, I had already bleached my hair and then had it dyed blue-green about a month earlier, so I was essentially dyeing over what was a very faded version of what I was trying to achieve anyway. You guys saw how neon that came out, and it proved to have real staying power because that level of green lasted for a long time. My dark roots came through naturally, but it took about a month for the main body of hair to get to the point where I wanted to re-dye it. With the bubblegum blue, the dye itself was just as vibrant. I've got it here actually. It looks a little darker on the bottle than what it actually came out as, but you can still see it's a pretty strong colour. And the day I dyed it, I went to the hairdressers and had a big bleaching session to get rid of all the green that was left over. So unlike the lime twist, I was starting this time with a completely blank slate. It was pretty much white. Again, the colour was so gentle. I hate it when hair dye burns, and I appreciate that you are literally chemically forcing your hair to do something unnatural, but at the same time, when brands like Crazy Colour don't have any peroxide in and still manage to produce such a popping colour, it kind of makes me wonder why a lot of hair dyes have peroxide in the first place. Crazy Colour is a great product that proves that you do not have to damage yourself to customise your appearance. Anyway, the only other difference in the dyeing process was that I waited the best part of an hour before washing off the lime twist dye, and because it came out so electrified in colour, I figured with the bubblegum blue I didn't need to wait that long because the dye obviously does its job. So this time I only waited 15 minutes before washing it off, and that is actually what the bottle says you should do, so it's not too little. And wouldn't you know it, by the time I washed it off and blow dried it, the colour was gorgeous. I really like it, a lot more than the green actually, and I'm glad I picked bubblegum blue because it's exactly the colour I was going for. I just loved it straight off the bat. And if I'd filmed this on the day I dyed it, that'd be the end of that, but since I've had 2 extra weeks to see how much my hair's changed since the dyeing, here's a little more for you. The only way in which the bubblegum blue is inferior to the lime twist is that the vibrant colour hasn't lasted quite as strongly. I still love this colour, and you guys can see it's still blue, but if you compare it to the picture I took on the day I dyed it, I haven't edited this photo anyway, and it was taken in pretty much the same lighting in the same room that I'm in right now, so it's pretty much exactly what it looked like. If you look at that and then look at this, you can see a fade that wasn't there with the lime twist. Not only that, but after the first day, I immediately started getting this kind of highlights and lowlights thing going on. Even though the base bleach that I'd done was completely even all over, and I applied the blue dye exactly the same way as I'd done the green dye, for some reason the blue dye came out randomly lighter in strips. I don't know if you can see it via camera, but there are some subtle lighter tones in there that weren't intended. I'm not quite sure why this has happened, but there could be a couple of factors to it. A, I didn't leave the blue dye to develop as long as the green, but then it came off just as vibrant straight off the bat, so somehow I don't think that's it. And B, I put the blue dye on over nearly white bleached hair as opposed to the green, which had been put on over very faded green hair. But when you put on hair dye over white blonde hair, you're essentially getting as close a result to what it advertises on the bottle, so logically, that should mean that the blue dye would have produced an all-over even colour without any other dyes interfering with it. Other than that, I'm not sure why the blue's fading at a faster rate than the green and adding random highlights, but having said that, I actually really don't mind, because for my personal taste in colour, I really like this blue. I enjoyed the green, don't get me wrong, but after I'd blow dried it on the day I went blue, I just looked at it and thought, this is exactly what I was going for. This is awesome. And even though it's fading and there's various tones in it, I don't care. I still like the way it looks. You have to remember that everyone's hair reacts differently, so maybe my hair just doesn't quite grab blue the same way it grabs green, but that doesn't matter. There's a hell of a lot more left in this bottle. I'll just dye it again. That's not necessarily how your hair's going to react to it. Yours might hold it for double the time. You never know until you try. So there you have it. Bubblegum blue doesn't last quite as powerfully as lime twist, but the colour you do get, even when it's fading, shading is super nice, so don't be afraid to go for it. Oh, and if you haven't already got the message, crazy colour is awesome. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm sure I'll be back with another ridiculous hair colour in the near future. Have a nice day!